All right, let's go. Upward Spiral Gang. Welcome
Hmm.
back, guys, to the Guided Primal Sutra podcast, the GPS podcast. And this
Hmm.
time, of course, we're speaking about something that we are very close to, this topic of health, wealth, and relationships. We always talked about it because when you're trying to perform better,
Hmm.
these areas always show up for
Always.
anything that you decide. So it's like we've realized that the substrate, the starting point, the spark has always been energy work. And energy work has been something that really clears away any of the gunk, any of the weirdness that comes up in regards to these energies. So if we're thinking about health blocks, wealth blocks, relationship blocks, energy work can get rid of those blocks. Hey there, babe. Anybody else tuning in live? Not
Oh,
yet.
you're on
Okay,
YouTube.
nobody's
Mm.
here. All right. So yeah, so man,
Hmm.
first and foremost, read the disclaimer if you're new, because this is not self-help, this is self-realization.
Yes.
And everybody's out here kind of just reading books, copying someone else's morning routine,
Hmm.
learning all these productivity hacks, talking to broke coaches, taking supplements, swiping. I mean, they think
Hmm.
one of these things is going to save them. But I'm here to give quite a different experience. I think there's a truth that not many people want to admit, and that it's
Hmm.
all energy and it will always come down to energy. And until
Right.
you learn to master your energy, not just your mindset, not just your emotions, right? But the
Hmm.
actual vibrating field of intelligence behind both your mindset and your emotions. So let's break it down. And Ryan, I have some questions for you, so
Naturally.
we can dive in deeper. So
Hmm.
what do you hold on to that's killing your flow? If you can be honest and open about that.
Okay, what am I holding on to that's killing my flow? Distraction by way of coping and distracting myself with entertainment. That's killing my flow. But what's the cause of that?
Yeah.
The cause of that
Mm,
would be dealing with a situation where I'm gonna be alone or by myself for a month in this house, plus dealing with a weird situation at work. Those two things are forcing me to kind of distract myself from getting a job done. I
yeah.
have noticed it heavily this weekend as well, yeah.
Yeah. How did you feel after your like sound baths? It wasn't
How
a
did I
sound
feel
bath, it
after
was
this?
a float tank thing, right? With sounds in it embedded into it or
Hmm.
something.
How did I feel after that? Let's
Energy
see.
wise, right? Like,
Ecstatic.
mm,
Ecstatic. And I like what he did. Like you're in a floating chamber of sorts, and you have woofers in
mm,
um the chamber that you're in, and he built him himself.
mm.
And just a second, I'm live. Extremely sucks. Anyway, this is gonna happen every now and again. I've got to put a sign up. Anyway, what were we talking about
Well,
again? Blah, blah, blah.
I'm glad you brought up that word, Ryan, ecstatic, because the Greek word ecstasis means to stand outside yourself. It's
Right.
actually you're going out of body. So that's really interesting that you're referring to that experience as an out of body experience, kind of
Hmm.
being immersed to something greater than just the mind chatter, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Why were you asking about the floating tank summit?
Oh, because I wanted to know, first of all, like right now, what was killing your flow, and then what you did to handle your something that was killing your flow in the past, and kind of
Oh,
bridge them together. That's why I
um,
was asking you that.
oh, that's why. Okay, so what I did back in the day was remove myself from the obstacles.
Mm,
Because 9 out of 10 times the obstacles are in my mind. Like something hasn't been processed fully, or
Right.
something still process, whatever, you know what I mean. And I need to put
Yeah.
myself into a moment or a pocket that I can start setting up that momentum of flow. Usually it's just removing myself from a situation and going into nature or walking a block or whatever or calling a friend and just bitching about something. And suddenly
Mm.
my mind is just empty, and that's like the moment where I'm off no mind and then I can easily like pick up any book and just get it done. As an example. So for the current challenge, it's
Mm.
mostly like, can I create that emptiness that I'm seeking, just creating room for flow, while
Yeah.
the issue is still present, and that's the new challenge.
Right. Super
So,
interesting.
just before you continue, SLW Fabio is asking a question. What about portals? How do we use
Ah,
energy and portals to stay in flow and maintain flow? Kind of like serving. You find the
yeah.
pockets. You start to recognize where these
It's like
moments
tuning a
of flow.
guitar, right? If you're
Exactly.
off key, then the portal will open clean. That's basically it. You have to clear any distortions through breathwork, grounding, releasing tension, and then use rituals as access codes. So like rituals open time loops. If you light a candle before a creative session, if you say a mantra before training, you touch your chest before performing or
Right.
something like that, you know? So create micro portals to create those bigger macro portals.
Okay, so there's an interesting back and forth going on between Mattis and Fabio.
Okay.
Mattis is justifiably asking portal to portal jumping, or are you a walking portal? One who is in the flow or minds and advise others to into the flow. So I don't know whether it's for us or for
Right.
Fabio, but I'll say it's both. But you are
Right.
the moment you enter environment, you change the vibration. So by definition, you introduce new frequencies, thus you being the portal.
Right.
But you also have you being also in tune with certain frequencies the moment you arrive at like a competition scenario. Clearly,
Mm.
the vibes are competitive, so does you become competitive? So yeah, that
Yeah. It's like a shift point. I see portals, and it's
right.
like when your biofield connects you to a higher intelligence. So
Yeah.
yeah, your nervous system does become like an antenna, sort of. That's very true. Very
Okay.
true.
So Fabio,
Flow is the portal. It can be, yeah.
flow is support. Well, like a waterfall, right? Anyway, let's
Mm.
continue the conversation between us. Where did we
Yeah.
stop again?
So let's
Right,
talk
we
about each individually, right, Ryan? So what about let's start with health and then we'll go to
okay.
wealth and then we'll go let's go in order. So in terms of wealth, I understand it energy wise. Like my body isn't just this flesh, right? It's like there's frequencies and hidden things going on in my body that's making me ill or slowing me down or creating
Yes.
more friction, let's say. So yeah, it's kind of like
Hmm.
how your life force flows through your nervous system is how I see the health aspect of energy. So,
Makes sense.
what would you say is your perspective on that in terms of the energetics of health, the hidden side of
If
health?
if you think, feel, and say bad, you'll probably think, feel, and say bad. It's that simple. If you keep so what I, back when I was, I don't know, 24,
You think
25,
bad, you do bad. You're saying, yeah, yeah,
kind
basically.
of wasn't that the Zoroastrianism or something? Something like that. I remember there was a period where I had an internship at one of the big four financial companies, and I had like a small obsession with horror movies, and I would dream
Mm,
horror movies, and it would my communication was probably also like very dark and whatever, especially in that period. And I remember
mm-hmm,
weird accidents happening around me. That was even before it became
mm,
like super spiritual. And at some point, I just dropped it all and just went completely in the opposite direction, just to like leave that
Yeah.
thing alone.
Meaning what? So you went into comedy or
Yeah, I went to the comedy, I
started?
went to the laughter, I went into the things that in my youth gave me life, like Samurai Jack,
Mm,
Looney Tunes or whatever.
totally.
So, in that way, if the universe is mental, then mental health is the first thing that I need to handle. If I feed myself bullshit, of course I'm gonna perform bullshit. In the
Right.
same way that, let's say, I'm doing kind of a challenge where I want to be able to monitor my urges for sugar, which is just hell for me. So before 12, I'm not allowed sugar. But after training,
Mm,
I can have a few pieces of bread and a soda, sure. I need to fucking focus. I need the sugar to perform. But at night, it
mm,
doesn't make sense for me to consume a massive amount of artificial sugars because I'm gonna go to sleep and I don't want to get fat. Things like that. Take a little bit of
mm.
accountability and handle your business. At the end of the day, you take care of you. You are your own child. Would you give your child
Yeah.
sugar at night? No, because they're gonna get hyperactive. And when I very deliberately ate sugar at night when I was younger, uh, my mom didn't want to feed me medicine for me to go to sleep, so her alternative was to whoop the dog shit out of me. I would cry and I would go to bed. That was
Mm.
my mom's remedy. So I'm not saying doing that. My mom was a very nice woman. It's just I wasn't exactly a
Yeah,
sweetheart.
primed well. Primed well for it. Yeah, or whatever. But yeah, if your energy is scrambled, like your body's gonna scream it after a while, right? Like it's gonna show up somehow. And so
Mm.
that's like your biology obeying the
Well,
metaphysics that is
isn't
health.
it the
So
same with pheromones? If you consume toxic chemicals, you will smell acids because
mhm.
you're excreting those toxic chemicals.
And
I've
notice how
seen it
like
with
lower
mm,
entities also smell like rotten food at times or like decaying
yes.
flesh. Like it's very interesting how the smells is also the one of the quickest way we change states. So yeah, it's
Well,
very important. It's all
it's
connected.
if you look at senses, what are the first things you tend to observe? It's the hearing and the smell before you even see or feel what it is.
Yeah.
It's like, we
Yeah.
remember when we were driving in New Zealand or something? We were blasting whatever music, everything for some reason what was like house, rave music, etc. Anyway,
We did play a lot of, yeah. It's basically
yeah.
siren music and fairy music because we were focusing
Well,
on
I
our
didn't agree
chakras.
on this style of siren music because it's way too white for my taste, but you know what I mean. Anyway, the point was the
We
moment
found
we
some
were
good ones, I think. But yeah.
eh anyway, um the moment we were more in the village areas or we were in a situation where we needed to focus, music was off. I couldn't afford this. Well, not that I couldn't afford a distraction, but we might have lost the car at some points. Remember when we went
Mm,
to the quote unquote hippie village? Like
yes.
there were some dodgy corners, man. When I was like, I don't
Oh
know if
yeah, for sure.
I was like,
That's where your character really comes into play, right? Is how you can hold yourself in an environment where
yeah,
everyone's so free and loose and like so
way too free for my
openly.
taste, man.
Yeah,
Way too
yeah.
free. And I will never forget when one of the girls asked Pete what Ryan's type is, etc. I'll never forget that conversation and meeting Pete like a few days later, and then he just starts the story, just starts his day with telling me what happened. It was fantastic.
All right, Ryan,
One,
let's get spicy in terms of this topic too, because I know
okay, sure,
we want
sure,
to
sure,
talk a
sure,
lot
sure.
about our events. Um, but let's do relationships before we go into wealth. So
Okay.
relationships, I think, is an interesting one because everybody, talks about attachment styles and
Mm-hmm.
all these different things. But what causes relationship problems, do you think, in terms of your own perspective? Like, what keeps attracting narcissists? What keeps people getting ghosted? What keeps people,
Hmm.
uh, in this loop of bad relationships?
I can only
I
speak
mean, we
for
started off.
myself. Uh-huh.
We talked about it before earlier, which was would you date yourself? But yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like that's one of the things that we've in our first channelings, I believe BBA before he was BBA, I suppose. But that was one of the codes I reused for the Match in the Date program. And if the answer to would you date yourself is no, you have some work to do. Take a piece of
right,
paper,
exactly.
fucking start writing why you wouldn't. And then
Yeah,
on the other side of the paper, change it into the exact opposite. Because there is a pattern in why you wouldn't, and just ask yourself out of it some surface level bullshit, or there's something deeper there. And usually it's something to do with you're unhappy with yourself for whatever reason, or it's a money thing, or you have some misconceptions about relationships or whatever. And shit, we're still learning. But
yeah,
what is true,
yeah,
and what has always been true, and funny enough, especially looking at the well, last few relationships and the flings, my self love has been extremely key. Like, baby girl, I love myself with or without you. That is not gonna change. I might feel different after the breakup about, you and me and whatever, but I'm still gonna love myself. And shit, let's say I made mistakes. Good. I now know what to do better. Everybody wins.
yeah,
So what's really going on? What's going on is you've taken on the stories of others. What's going on
yeah.
is you have assumed things and you have went on with those assumptions without testing it.
Yes,
I
that's
have
where
made those
overthinking
mistakes before.
starts. By the way, we're going to answer your questions at the end, Mathis, but everything kind of directly points into this kind of
Mm,
flow of this health, wealth, relationships thing. So we're going to save that to the final five. How
mhm.
much time do we have, Ryan?
Well, we're we have about, let's see, we're at 18 minutes roughly.
Okay. Okay. So relationships are kind of about clearing the clutter, basically. You
Yeah.
have to get rid of the
The
stuff that
moment things
keeps,
become
on
confusing,
you.
the fights happen. Every fucking
Yes.
time.
Yes.
Every
Clarity. Yeah,
time.
clarity.
It's so important to make things clear and keep it simple. And if anything happens in a relationship, it's either because things became unclear or vague, or you've caused it, or someone else outside of the relationship caused it. It must always be clear what's up.
Mm.
And even you
Right.
use it to your advantage in a fantasy form, like not just in the sense of marriage or whatever, but more in the sense of sexuality, adventure, especially, and
Yeah.
use the tools that you have anyway.
Yeah. Let's bring it into wealth now. So I
Hmm.
think that money is like one of the ways that we connect to our own sense of security in life.
Sure.
And it's also the shadow mirror of our self-worth. So if our self-worth is really low, then we don't bring in that wealth or abundance frequency because
Okay.
wealth doesn't come to neediness, right? It doesn't come to those that are desperate or
Mm.
begging. Like don't get paid as much as people playing a guitar or like with a hat. They're doing something, they're performing for some kind of an exchange. Or for people who are like expecting free handouts, there's this weird energy that beggars can be choosers, and it seems to be a repellent almost at times. So money doesn't come to effort, it comes to congruence. And congruence means energetic
Hmm.
integrity,
Hmm.
right?
I can see that
And
because
of course, clearing
remember,
the root chakra, yada yada, doing the chakra work.
because both MID and Primal Sutra started as free programs initially. Before Primal Sutra was Primal Sutra, it was the Soul Eater program, like literal shadow work, and then
Or
everything
shadow
else
work
came.
mastery. Yeah.
And we did that for free, right? And we did it for free because we loved it. We
Yeah.
loved it. We loved the whole. Going as deep as we can. Yeah, I remember. I
That
remember.
transformation, man. Yeah, it's wild. And
Yeah.
that's where we really pieced everything together, like the bioenergetic stuff with the health stuff, and we started to find these loopholes. I think not loopholes, but like we found the gateways, the ways to actually move forward. Now, so what do we do now, right? So I think that this isn't about floating in the clouds. It's not about chakras or incense, unless you mean it, right? Unless you're taking full authorship of your frequency, your field, your life. I think one of the best ways is to clear the noise by
Hmm.
getting into some kind of a practice, whether you play music or you do something, so you can listen to your own current.
Hmm.
And then you don't need to do more. You just need to stop leaking your power and start feeling
Agreed.
where you already
Agreed.
are, you know? Yeah.
Agreed. It's and this is kind of why I'm a big fan of having certain routines at set times.
Mm-hmm.
Just without an excuse, just get it done. Like your breath work, your cold showers, your even if it's a soft 15-minute yoga session, it's gonna do wonders in a few months because you're staying consistent. And through such structure, and I know not everybody likes it, I guess. Through such structure, you make sure whatever energy leakages you have no longer happens.
Yeah. You know how I spot my fragmentation nowadays, brother? I ask myself, what part of me is waiting for me to finally come home? Right? And then I get an image of something that is like separated from me. And then I do the inner work to kind of blend, mesh with that, make it integrate it basically. So what part of you is waiting for you to finally come home?
So I asked myself the same question, and what came up was um, coming back to peace. Just doing a
Mm,
simple, no music meditation and just recentering myself completely. Maybe even just go take a walk in the forest and then just calm my ass down.
yeah,
Mm, mm.
sounds good.
Let's
Awesome.
focus on the Matthew's question because he had a whole
Yes.
bunch of why is
Yes.
spiritual money management why spiritual money management is disguised as energy work? Well, everything is energy. If I
Yeah.
feel rich and if I feel good about myself, why wouldn't I manage my money easier?
Yeah.
Or at some cases, I have seen it with friends. Some of my friends find me reckless with money, and I'm just saying, like, bro, this is future investment. It's like say I bought a bunch of
Yeah.
fighting gear. Like I don't use them yet, but that's because I'm so hyper focused on grappling. But the moment I have more time, I'm gonna do some MMA and kickboxing. Fantastic. It's the
Yeah.
same thing.
It's from energy because it's from the emotion, energy and motion, right? So it's like every time you hoard, you're clenching in fear. Every time you're overspending, you're leaking your power more. So
Right.
it's like, yeah, you bless what you spend, ground what you save, and receive without guilt. That's the best
Hmm.
way to put it.
Hmm. So I've a trick for that as well. From a
Mhm.
physical side, where do I feel scarcity? And I feel like here and
Mm.
here so means I am holding myself back a little bit too much in in the
Expression,
richness of
yeah.
expression. And here's like, bro, I know I want to spend money on something. Fucking just spend it. And has in this case to do with some
Yeah.
exam prep I wanted to buy anyway, and some books because the
Yeah.
spending of money is not a bad thing. If using money or spending of money as an act of coping, I would recommend, observing first before acting. But if I use the spending of money to nurture myself, why wouldn't I? Like, I found it like a week ago for 20 euros, I can do a day entry spa session
Yeah.
at a five-star hotel. Like last Wednesday, I
Right.
was there by myself for hours,
Yeah.
going like, I
Yeah.
don't have enough moisture to survive this, but sure, you know?
Yeah. You know, I've noticed this that our spending habits, like think of your last purchases, that's your aura, right? That's your energetics trying to buy something
Hmm.
to physicalize the immortality, right? Like
Okay,
it's
okay.
trying
Well, if
to,
you're going that
yeah,
route, the last things
yeah.
I bought was yogurt, kefir, bananas, and what are those damn
Yeah,
thing
because you
called?
care about your gut, you
Pistache.
know? So it's like, yeah, you care
Well,
about your gut
okay. If
health.
if you
So
want
yeah,
to talk about money management, is also health management because why would I spend money on dumb shit unless it's funny,
yeah.
right? And how long have I been working on my gut? Like months. What I've noticed is when I do rough rolls, I can breathe more. I feel like my when I eat, my metabolism is higher. Like food gets processed better. I'm significantly less bloated, so that is a wise investment. Which brings me to Martin's second question: why overthinking is a disease and blocks blessings?
Yeah,
If you have a bunch
great
of
one.
beads
Mm.
in this plastic cup, and the plastic cup represents your mind. Don't ask why I have these beads and why they're in a cup. That's besides the point. And why they're gold. That's besides the point. Um, um, but the moment I empty it, I can enter more stuff. That's and I don't necessarily think overthinking itself is disease, but it becomes chronic, and the chronicness, that's a disease. That means you're stuck in a loop and you need to get yourself out of
Mm.
it. And it's up to you as be the adept, be the listener of this podcast, whatever, to become aware of when these loops start, when you start raging, and that's kind of when um likely deities that are not your spirit guys start, taking away energy of yours because they're invested
Yeah.
in keeping you in that loop. I think I answered that question.
So yeah, I would say that overthinking is underfeeling. So it is the ego's way
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
of compensating for a lack of presence. So it's fear disguised as logic.
Yeah.
So basically, if you're tangled in 10,000 what ifs, right, your nervous system isn't open to receive yes to your miracles in that moment
Mm,
because you're
mm.
so caught up in the mind, right? So that's why I
Yeah,
think it blocks blessings because you're just giving yourself way too many options.
yeah.
You're giving
It's
yourself too many thoughts that stack on top of more thoughts, on top of emotions, on top of other thoughts. And it feels overwhelming, but it starts from that first negative assumption, right?
yeah.
So if you can cut that cord and go back to the stoic fact, what can I control? The rest is easy, easy breezy. Just silence the noise, then the blessings come in. Always.
Let's focus on
Yeah.
pride for men and for women, how to spot and dissolve them.
Oof.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, how to spot them is there's always a pattern. I mean, in the case that I'm dealing with, it's clear jealousy and envy, clearly.
Mm.
But in the way that this person brings it is very subtle and it clear attacks. And then I'm gonna notice a pattern, and of course I have the luxury of and privilege of being able to communicate with a group of shamans to like double check a few things. And how to dissolve them. I prefer to solve them through means of shadow work and character. Sumit might do a little bit different. And
Yeah,
9
I've
out of
noticed
10
that
times.
celebrating actually alchemizes my envy. Very
Hmm.
interesting.
Hmm.
Like when I can like, appreciate myself or like I'm in that self-love mode of celebrating, I'm automatically like the envy goes into a different energy because I'm giving myself,
Right,
I'm
because
fully filled,
emotion
right?
needs to attach to you too in order for you to be part of that story loop.
Right.
But if you're
Right.
of a high frequency, they couldn't because you're not playing
Yeah.
their game.
Yeah, so the key to all polarity work, brother, is to spot the emotion before it becomes the personality trait.
Yeah.
And once you can catch the shadow, call the shadow by name, like, oh, that's that thing that I do. I always react when she says this. Or
Mm.
when you can catch it, then you can change the polarity dynamics of it. But
Interesting.
most people aren't even looking for it. But it's ancient, right? This whole male female ooga booga, right? It goes back to that
Listen,
evolutionary
you're
psychology.
not gonna beat it, but you can observe it and choose your moment to pounce. That's all
Mm.
you can do. Like, there's moments where you can
Wait, explain
exploit the
what you mean
system.
by that, right? Because people are stupid, you know what I mean? But yeah. Hey, friend, says Chef Mary. Hello.
What do I
Hey there.
mean? What do I mean? How can I say this in the most PC way possible? If you know a train arrives at a certain time, you can be there. If you know certain, let's say your girlfriend has a fixed menstrual cycle, you can plan for it, etc., etc., etc. Certain people have a set behavior. Most people have a set behavior, and even if it's not necessarily behavior, they do have a set schedule. They have to get up at some point, etc., etc., etc. Now, bring it back to the dating realm, there's always going to be a certain, back and forth.
Yeah.
And the moment you understand it, there's going to be a pattern, and that pattern is something you can exploit. Now, exploit might not be the best word, but let's face it, we all do it. It's even the case for spirituality. The moment we understand a spiritual pattern, we can choose to dissolve
Mm.
it, to exploit it, or just let it go. That's your usual, that's the usual approach that we take. And of course, keep it ethical and don't be an idiot. I
Mm.
mean, 9 out of 10 times I triple check with Usumit before I even start to make moves where I'm like, this might be dodgy.
Hmm. Yeah.
Especially because I
Yeah.
prefer to confront things head on. Like
Yeah.
immediately just ram it like this is what it is, this is what I'm feeling, what's up with you? And if I don't like the
Right.
answer, we don't have to be friends. Best of luck to you.
Mm. Right.
You know? That's pretty much my answer.
Right.
Does this answer is a question submit?
I think so. I think it's yeah, it was pretty I don't know. Yeah, he says yeah. Cool.
I
Awesome.
accept it. Are there any questions
Awesome.
from YouTube land? Let's see.
No, I don't think so. Whoever's watching, guys, we're still on, so if you want to ask any questions, now's the time.
Interesting. Cool. Let's see, any questions from Zoom? Um, how would you like to end this, Sumit? Seeing how we're over time?
Yeah. I'm just reading Mathis's. To make it
Yeah.
spicy, ego triggers body count, cheating, possession. Well, what would I would say basically the only body count you should be concerned about is the lives that you transform. Straight up, right? Because you shouldn't worry about these different factors because they're words that the mainstream culture are shoving down your throat.
Hmm.
It's like these different concepts like
Very true.
beta male or something else. It's just it creates a label around it and then we can't thrive,
True.
right? So
True.
the main thing with any of these are just words, Matthew, that you just listed, right? But it's your relationship with those words internally
True.
that's going to
Very true.
transform.
What is your relationship with a certain word? And then
Yes.
not just check in with yourself mentally, but also feel through it and feel where in the
Yeah.
body you feel it, and often that body part is then connected to a certain emotion. To the viewers online, please do your own homework. I'm giving you like a little framework to work with, and maybe start EFT tapping or whatever. But this is a good foundation to start working with that. Understand that you are
Mm.
your own agent. Your life is literally your business. You decide what kind of business it is. Is this a business of drama? Is this a business of prosperity and peace and power? Whatever. What's the story
Right.
you want to write? And I think we should end on that. What is the story you want to
Definitely.
write on health, wealth, relationships? Write it out.
Mm.
Who do you need to be that? Be that guy, be that
Right
woman,
on.
be that person, whatever.
Yeah.
It is what it is, Montes. It is what it is. That's my answer to that for now. Anyway, we're way over time. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the GPS Guided Primal Sutra.
Podcast.
Good morning, good evening, and good night. I wish you the very best. May your life never be the same
Peace.
again.